Go to the past and save the world.
Hello everybody, and welcome to something different. Welcome to Reverie of Wrath, Volume 1 by Justin Ferrante. I was going to try to keep my real name hidden, but I suppose it's in the acknowledgement section of the book. So I guess everybody will know my last name. I guess that is what that is. So what is this? It is a novelization of my teenage years. Me and my friends would make videos from 6th grade all the way throughout high school. We still did stuff after high school, and we did different stuff during high school apart from, in fact, what people more well know me from, apart from YouTube of the book reviews, is stuff revolving around cancer YouTube. But that in of itself was a funny little thing, which we ended up connecting to this bigger thing, just set in the future. So, before I even met Justin Ferrante, Justin was friends with my friend Donny and my friend Kenny, and they started a series called Hiking in the Hills because they thought Smosh, which did the same thing for a little bit, were awesome. So Smosh inspired that, and then Hiking in the Hills changed to Going to the Hills, which changed to Adventures in the Hills. And that's what stuck for the remainder of the TV show. Well, TV show, the YouTube series, which is basically a live-action anime. There's no other way to describe this story that Justin is trying to tell outside of the fact that it is, for all intents and purposes, minus the fact that it's not a Japanese animation, but everything that you think of when you think anime in terms of plot, in terms of character development, in terms of action, it's an anime. If you don't like anime, you're not going to like Adventures in the Hills / Reverie of Wrath. Reverie of Wrath consists of the first 4 seasons of this YouTube series. Now, the thing about this is too, it's only 99 cents if you buy it on Kindle, so not too much of an investment if you pay for it. And it's only 190 pages, so it's more of a young adult novel than a full-on adult novel. So this has been a bit hard because, when you have friends, you want to make sure you're super positive and encouraging of their work and everything their hopes and dreams and everything they hope to accomplish. But he also asked me to review it, and so I'm also going to be honest about how I feel. If you can hear that, that's my dog. But, so, also leave some links so you can see sort of the comparisons that there are. Hold on a second. As I was saying, there's 4 acts in this little novella. And the first act consists of what was publication-wise one of the later things we recorded, but chronologically is one of the first things to happen, which is the Genesis saga. Very original, I know. But I forget what it was called in the novel, but basically it covers those events that we recorded. Which, was fine. It includes, we meet a character named Jairus, which is, in the show was called Justin because we just went by our names, but in the book it's Jairus, and he works for a gang with this lady named Allison. There's also a couple of new original characters that weren't a part of the original show, because we only had us as actors. So in the book, we get more characters than was part of it. Definitely, the definitive version of events is the book. So if you want to know the true, legitimate story that Justin's trying to go for, then this is what you want to be reading, not watching our show, which is mostly retarded, minus a couple things here and there. Um, and we also get to meet Danny, who of course translates to Donny in real life, and he is um, also part of a game with a guy named Albert. Now, in the show, in the episodes we filmed, I am Albert, and I am a gangster dude. I'm a bad dude, but I've also got superpowers because remember this is an anime. But I get defeated. Gyrus and Danny become friends, and they end up living together. We also the first act of the first section of the first act involves two characters named Zenova and Equinox, who are incredibly important to the overall narrative of the entire franchise. Which it's weird saying franchise because it's not really official. Like I don't know if we really have any copyright claim to any of it, but like in our series, they're two of the most important characters in the entire like lore of it. You know, um, Act Two covers season three of the Adventures in Hills show. There was a season two involving video games, but that has since been erased from existence like Thanos snapping. It's not real. It never happened. So, for all intents and purposes, the second act of this book is. Sorry, actually, no. The second act of this book is the first season of the show, which mostly involves Gyrus and Danny finding the wish orb, which in the YouTube stuff was the easy button that could grant wishes, but now it's a wish orb. And Equinox, who we saw in the beginning of the book, comes back and asks for it, well, demands it really, and ends up dying. And then a bunch of his minions try to attack Gyrus and Danny. They have to defeat them up until this new character named Jack shows up, and he's like a half demon child. Like I said, it's all really insane. It's an anime. It's an anime in book form, and Jack gets defeated, and then we move on to the third act of the book, which is the third season of the show, because the second season doesn't exist, and that's with a guy named Minister Destructo. I know, right? In YouTube, that was called the Parody Event Saga, but this is probably where it gets. I don't want to say good because that implies that the previous stuff is bad, but I'll give my general thoughts after the fact. Let me just get through the plot points of these different sections. Um, but yeah, so Minister Destructo wants to do evil things, and our heroes defeat him. Now, this is probably the most different from the YouTube series because most of it, there's a lot more details, a lot more characters, but it generally follows the same plot structure. This is where things start to change significantly from the TV show or the YouTube series we had. So there's a lot of differences there. So even if you were to watch that season on YouTube, which I don't recommend doing because it's really bad, but if you're going to do so, the events of the book are significantly different from that of the YouTube series. And then we get on to the final act of this particular section of the book. The next volume will include seasons 5 and both sections of season 6 from the YouTube series into that second volume. The third volume will involve the last season that we made, which involves Cyber Radaro and Satan, but we'll get into that way down the line. And then we have the paranormal events, which this is also a thing where things drastically change. So I met my friends in middle school. They had already been making these YouTube videos for a couple years now. And I became their friend, so I ended up becoming a part of it. I came up with the idea that I am, well, in the show, we all went by our normal names. I was Donny's grandson from the future, where things were bad. And this demon named Radaro had taken over the world, and it was a post-apocalyptic future. So I traveled back in time to save the future. well, the way the time travel works in our show is that it's like the Dragon Ball Z effect, where if you travel back in time and you change it, you've changed a different future. That future remains the same. You've only changed the outcome of a different one. So I come back in time to help. But the differences in this book, especially, is that in the show we had a bunch of paranormal things happen, kind of at random. It's kind of weird. And then Radaro we had to face at the end. This one, it makes a bit more sense plot wise because Radaro's trying to come back from hell, right? And there's a bunch of these acolytes that are trying to bring him back. So we're actually trying to stop the acolytes from making him return. And that's essentially the plot of that one, along with character development. We also meet Cole, who is just Kenny, um, and then there's Zach. I forget what his name was in the book, but that's essentially the four plot points that are going on. As I said, this is all the stories are. You could kind of think of it all as short stories because all of this is told in 190 pages, which is in most cases one story. Like, think about Young Jedi Knights, like that's a single story. But you get like four different plots in one book. So um, it's fun though. I think it's a lot of fun. And I'm a little biased, of course, because I'm a part of this whole thing. But I do think it's fun, um, and I enjoy the differences from what I filmed with him, and getting to visualize cooler scenes because the action that we did is kind of stupid. Like if you watch anything that we've done, it's really stupid. But in a book, it's a little bit easier to digest that and accept that as happening. So that was cool. But some things I have to say, and this is not to be mean to my friend. Justin probably will be watching this, and I love Justin. He's been my friend for a long time. But I also want to be honest and fair when I review these things. Now, I'm not one to talk. I don't write stories. I don't do writing. I'm not a writer. I just talk about other people's writings as if I have any authority, which I don't. I'm just saying as someone who's read a bunch of books. As I said, this feels like an anime. And if you like anime, it won't be as much of an issue. But I know a lot of people who read, you know, don't necessarily watch anime. Now there's plenty of people that read that watch anime, so it's fine. Anime tends to over explain things and kind of makes the audience feel a little stupid, I feel. This doesn't account for every anime, but it is a stereotype and it applies to a lot of them, Dragon Ball Z included, and a lot of other things. Because it's animation, because don't have the actor physically showing their emotion stuff, there's less showing and more telling. Like a character will tell you the plot, be like this, and this, exposition dump, exposition dump, exposition dump, or tell you exactly how they're feeling to the minute details, because it's anime, and that's just how it's done in anime, and you just accept that. There's a lot of over explaining in these stories. The way that people get to know information in this book, the way that Justin includes the world building, it's not necessarily forced, but it's like like if I were to write it, right? Like we learn about World War III and stuff. Um, maybe it's not overall important to the overall narrative, but I'd maybe have Gyrus, you know, maybe Allison needs money for the war that happens in the first act of this book. Well, not like war, not like real war. It's like a turf war, like a gang war. And so like maybe she needs supplies, but she needs money for that. So Gyrus goes to like a museum or something where he needs to steal some stuff that's valuable so they can get the funding they need. I don't know. And in that he, because Gyrus already knows this, obviously. He's part of the world. But how do we get to know this without it feeling forced? So like he goes to a museum, you see stuff about World War III. Because World War III has happened in this universe, right? But instead we're just kind of told, yeah, World War III has happened, this has happened, da-da, da-da, this is what you need to know, da-da, kind of just like shoved in on you, which is fine, but it's not the best way to go about it, in my opinion. Again, the information is presented clearly, it's fine, it's just not how I would try to present it. But again, I don't actually write anything, so I'm not one to talk. I'm a George Lucas person. I come up with ideas and other people write them. So I'm not much of a writing person, but I have a lot of ideas for stuff, and then other people execute them well. So it's sort of that. But like, so personally, I don't know if you guys will feel the same. You should check it out though. Please support him. It's only 99 cents. Come on, please get it. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can buy it as well. Um, but and you can get a physical copy too. That'll be a little bit more expensive, but it's still under like $10. So, but I'm not gonna ask anybody to do that. But you can do that. Um, but yeah, so I just feel like information is a bit forced in this book in some sections. I thought this was funny. That first section has Albert. Albert was played by me in the TV show, and Albert is described as fat, which I thought was really funny. Justin didn't mean any disrespect, but I was laughing pretty hard because I was a lot thicker back then when I recorded those videos, and so it was just really funny that he describes Albert as fat. Oh, I just found it really funny, but yeah, um, this kind of reminded me of like the Silmarillion, though the overall story structure, because in the Silmarillion, it's much like the Bible, where it just chronicles a lot of events, except the difference is it's a little bit more detailed. But because it's actually like a story in each section, but it's like there's different things for this book. It's not just one story. But yeah. Overall, I had fun with it. If I had paid like how much you pay for like a normal book, like you get like Halo books for like $15. It's 20 something bucks if you're buying a physical copy and getting it shipped to you. Um, Again, not to be mean, I'd feel like I'd have to dock this story a little lower because it feels like a young adult novel. That being said, if you're getting it on Kindle, it's 99 cents. And if you're getting it a physical copy, um, it's under like $10. So I can't really, say it's bad for your investment, because you're not really losing that much money over it. But the ideas, the stories that Justin and all of us wanted to tell, I think are fun and intriguing enough. Um, and I think it's worth your time. I just think execution of certain information within this section of the book was a little. Also, again, like I said, if you're not into anime, then I feel like you'll struggle with the plot of these because it's very like anime like. But if you like anime, you might find something to enjoy here. And there's two more sections to come based off of the stories that we've told. And, maybe it gives you some better context if you ever go back and watch the stupid things I filmed with my friends. But, yeah. Overall, I don't rank it like, how I do my rankings. I do it like Lore Runner on YouTube, which is like a net positive, net negative. And I definitely think there's more positives in this book than negatives. So I think overall, yeah, it's good. Um, but if I did do like a lettering system, which I don't, but it'd be like a C, for me. But and it's not to diss him at all. Like I love Justin and everything, but I guess it's like his first like real book. I don't expect anybody's first real book to be the greatest thing ever. Um, but it also wasn't something like this is something that he released online and he didn't ask for an absorbent amount of money for it. So um, I want to be more positive because, he's my friend and, I'm a part of it. So I want to just praise it. But, I also, I want people to actually trust my opinion. So I don't want to be like, just biased because I'm a part of this whole thing. So, um, hopefully I was honest and, I hope I've expressed that I still think it's worth your time. I just want to acknowledge that I think there are some issues with it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And, if you want to see, if you end up getting it and you want to see some of the the other version of it, which is what we recorded. I'll be leaving a link in the description to basically the videos that reference what's told in these stories. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, thumbs up. Up next, we will have Survivor's Quest and a couple short stories, and then Young Gen Nights and Junior Gen Nights. Until next time, guys. I'll see you. Bye-bye.
So right back after World War II, an alien race called the Quantum comes and picks up 2 human boys. One is named Equinox and one is named Zenova. They grow up as brothers until Equinox gets jealous of Zenova's powers. He's a wizard, by the way. So Equinox reaches out to Satan, using forbidden magic to try and make himself more powerful. Satan grants this wish, but on one condition. His body, when he dies, gets to be used for him. Equinox becomes the dictator of this quantum planet, and has a war with the remaining troops fighting for freedom. And Zenova is also fighting with these troops. When losing, Zenova escapes to Earth, and Equinox comes and brings some lackeys too. Zenova loses to Equinox in a fight, but had already created the Wish Orb, or the Easy Button, whatever, for the potential to wish back friends, and sacrifices his memories to become younger through a spell. But spoiler alert, if you wish for someone back with the Easy Button / Wish Orb, it kills somebody else. In this universe, World War III has already happened, but at that point it was really short-lived and happened in the 80s, causing tech to become more advanced more quickly. No nukes went off, but in 2011 we finally meet our protagonist Justin. Original, am I right? I mean, in the book his name is Jairus, but Justin, we're going to be calling him that for now. He's a low-class scavenger who steals, and it is a gang with Allison Jackson. There's an opposing gang that fights with them all the time, and Justin witnesses what they do with their victims and sees that a member of their gang is being tortured by their own leader. The 2 gangs get in a fight, but Justin and his originally enemy Donny team up to defeat the other gang leader, Albert, who is being abusive. On part 2, Justin and Donny find the Easy Button that Zenova had wished across the world, and Equinox comes to try and take it. The only catch is Zenova put a curse on him that made him weaker over time, so Justin and Donny managed to defeat him and some of his alien lackeys, but not before he cursed a woman to bear his child, Jack, who because of Equinox's curse is a demon human, and was the main antagonist until Justin and Donny found a way to beat him. In part 3, Justin and Donny meet Kenny and Zach. Zach is someone they found randomly, and Kenny is actually Zenova with his lost memories. And Equinox's best admiral, Minister Destructo, is the main villain of the part, having lackeys such as the Roman soldier and Bobbinson. Bobbinson will be important for later, despite Donny hating Bobbinson. And I don't mean the character Donny, I mean real life Donny. But Minister Destructo builds a beacon to try and suck the life out of the Earth and bring it back to the quantum planet with his knockoff Easy Button, the magical cube of death. But Justin and the gang stop him once more. Yeah! Part 4 starts with a blast from the future. So a kid named Alex comes from far in the future and tells of a creature named Rodaro in that timeline who has screwed up the future and killed everyone. Alex is Donnie's grandson and is here to help. All in all, they get through paranormal events caused by Rodaro, who is a being made by Equinox's body by Satan. That's why Satan wanted that. And they beat Rodaro with the Emerald Sword, which Rodaro is weak to. Don't worry, the book doesn't have that Deus Ex Machina. Part 5, the main villain is Amar, who is actually Justin from the future, the same timeline that Alex came from. But that's supposed to be a surprise. Amar possesses Justin's body occasionally, and teleports the main cast to a version of Earth made from the quantum planet with only a few of the quantum race left. And some of Amar's warriors are the Bone Monster, Jack, who is back because he was revived. That was in season 3, but it wasn't really important until now. Scar, who's important, he's kind of like a bounty hunter, and other people too, I guess. Also, Alex touches a stick. We'll get to why that's important later. Justin and Amar share blood, so the fast healing power that Amar has transfers to Justin. They defeat Amar, but then he teams up with a version of Rodaro that was possessing him that makes absolutely no sense. It isn't Rodaro in the book. It was just cool to have him back. It's the one they killed earlier, but then their souls, it doesn't matter. They both died. Then the timeline splits. Part 6, the timeline saga, starts with the introduction of the Adrenaline Corporation, which was originally owned by Harlow Henry, who is James's grandfather in Daydreams of Pride. And the exosuit is there too, which is kind of just a plot device that makes them fight a scare ray because they're better now. And the Scare is another physical demon, just like Rodaro, but this time made from Allison's body in the messed up timeline. In that timeline, what happened is Amar tried to kill Rodaro, but Rodaro had just created a Scare out of Allison's body, so the two of them teamed up on future Justin, aka Amar, and sent him into the past to be the villain of Part 5. So there are two timelines in this part. One where Kenny is in a different exosuit company named Regiment Legion, and Zach, Donny, Alex, and Justin are part of Adrenaline Corp, and the other with Amar and his group. Using the exosuits and Donnie's time power given to him accidentally by a Scare, how it works is Rodaro had a demon blood ability that made ghosts and zombies appear. A Scare has the ability to bend time slightly, like slowing it down, so Donnie ends up getting the same power. Long story short, even though their own adrenaline droid turns against them, and Scar comes back, and yada yada, Mars still alive, it has Bobinson and his gang. Together they defeat a Scare, and they all had to go into one timeline. Oh yeah, and Justin tried to take him alone, and he freaking died, but didn't really die. All protagonists must have a die but not die moment. Anyways, the 7th part is the Adrenaline Saga, where Donnie steps up to power in Adrenaline Corp and starts making chemical weaponry. But Zach and Amar instantly leave because they're like, that's a war crime! Donnie has basically gone rogue, and when Kenny comes with his leader Amber from Regiment Legion to pick up Zach, Donnie gets mad and they get into a fight. So spoiler alert, a Scare got planted into Donnie as a last-ditch effort and is now using Adrenaline Corp to make something. There's a war between the two, where Donnie and Alex are on Adrenaline Corp, Amar is neutral, Bobinson and such are on Regiment Legion, Amar betrayed Regiment Legion, he secretly joined Adrenaline Corp, the Adrenaline Droid was back, Scar was there, the whole shebang. Eventually Amar learns exactly of what Donnie has done from Regiment Legion and joins Regiment Legion again and then gets taken into custody by Adrenaline Corps. And then the hot war between them begins, where it's Donnie versus Kenny again and all the troops. But then a Scare comes back and they all team against him to beat him up in this situation. It kind of diffuses right after. They kind of just win and it becomes Adrenaline Legion. But Amar leaves because he was mad. Now, remember why I said the stake with Alex is important? Amar doesn't even know this, but he chose the exact right spot in the solar system because that's where Satan was able to plant himself, and he's slowly been possessing Alex, and now he has full control. He's going to pretend he's Alex, though, so the Cyber Saga, aka Part 8, starts off with the robot body that Donnie didn't even know he created in the last season, getting its consciousness, Rodaro from the future timeline that was successful in taking over and stuff. Yeah, he comes back as Cyber Rodaro. He finds Amar in the wilderness and uses Donnie's other invention on him, a cyber core. This one is special, however, because they're used to give sentience to a robot, but this one is used to control a human. Cyber Rodaro recruits the Adrenaline Droid, Amar, who's now Cybercore Amar, and Crimson to fight by his side. After taking the main character's memories the week prior, the memories are stored in orbs. Cyber Rodaro has quote-unquote rid of them and told them that their memories basically make them useless now that they're gone. So Kenny, Donnie, Bobinson, and Zach are basically the only ones left. I mean, Alex is there too, and they go to try and fetch the past memories, but Alex is actually Satan, which Cyber Rodaro knows and communicates with Satan. Crimson was also Zach's twin brother, and eventually fights on their side, and the Adrenaline Droid turns into the Fab Droid due to his new personality through Cybercore. After a while, Satan finds out that Rodaro wanted to save the humans by giving them all Cybercores like Amar had, and Satan tells him, no, he's stupid, and then Rodaro betrays Satan because, Rodaro's only human, and it starts to show now. Satan shows him the memories of Equinox, how he was when he was a human, and now he wants to settle the score with the main cast. This is where Justin actually comes back in. His fast healing power saved him very slowly, and he literally comes out of the grave again, basically. Meets Scar, and convinces Scar to train with him, and they become super strong together. Justin comes back to beat up Cyber Rodaro, who wanted personal revenge. Even though Justin is probably the most powerful, it isn't enough. And they brought back Amar, who got his cybercore broken by fighting Scar, used the broken cybercore as a bomb to defeat Rodaro for good, who was really just Satan's puppet, because the last part, Part 9, aka the Nightmare Saga, is obvious. Satan comes, he knocks Donnie over in Alex's body. Satan's the god of evil, so he's way too strong for all of them. He gives them time to fight. They fight demons. They get the help of angels. Justin gets the power of Shock Amp from a dying angel, which is a power boost but can hurt him in the long run if he uses it too long. Satan takes Jack back as a lackey, just as you start to care about him again. Satan makes Scar evil again, Satan makes Zack kill his brother Crimson, then Justin has to end up killing Scar. It's not a good time. But in the end, Justin, Donny, and Kenny are there to stand against Satan. After beating Jack again, Zack unfortunately died to Jack. But then, Satan kills Donny and Kenny after Kenny tried to wish him away, figuring out that he was Zenova and making a new wish orb. Yeah, you just can't wish a god out of existence, didn't work. But then all their powers combine with Justin's shock amp, and Justin finally stands a chance to go toe-to-toe with Satan, and Justin almost beats him, but starts losing steam and then loses. Fortunately, Alex comes back and lowers all the defenses just so Justin can kill him and say goodbye, and uses the power he gained and sacrifices all of it in the wish orb / easy button one last time to bring everyone that had just died back to life. Jack is even brought back and it scares them, but he's not Satan possessed anymore and jokes around with them. Also, Alex is dead forever, because if you die in the wrong timeline, you no longer exist. That is the same with Amar. Kenny tries to destroy the wish orb but doesn't know how to, so he ends up wishing it into a hiding spot. And then all is well, or so they thought. Daydreams of Pride takes place 64 years after the end of Adventures in the Hills, so we'll see what happens. And that is the story of Adventures in the Hills. Thank you for listening, and now that you're all caught up for Daydreams of Pride Part 1, Rumble Storm, where it all starts, be there on September 13th to see the legacy.